Welcome back, family and friends and neighbors. Dr. Ken Berry here. I am a family physician, been practicing family medicine for over 20 years now. I'm going to be hanging out with you for the next hour or so, answering your questions about a proper human diet. What is that? What conditions respond to it? What about my blood pressure? Will it make it better? What about my diabetes? Will it make it better? I'll answer your questions about nutrition, about medicine, about medications, about anything medico-nutritional. Keep in mind, none of this is medical advice for you personally because I'm not your personal physician. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have in this arena. I'm happy to answer questions from vegans, from plant-based folks. We're all trying to rediscover a proper human diet. That's what we're here trying to do. And so I don't think anybody is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. We're all just at the point we're at on our personal journey of rediscovering what is optimal human health, what is a proper human diet. So that's what we're going to be talking about. If that sounds interesting to you, hang out with me. If you know someone who would greatly benefit video with them, you can click the share button and share it in a text message or a direct message. You're also welcome to share this on your favorite social media. That's one of the main ways you guys help me reach new people who've never heard this information. They think that having fatty liver is permanent. They think having type 2 diabetes is permanent. There's nothing they can do about it except take 2 or 3 pills and an injection for the rest of their life. People with severe hypertension, they think that's just permanent. I have it. I don't know. They said it was idiopathic. I don't know what that means, but they said take these 3 pills. So please, if you're willing to click that share button, you could absolutely change somebody's life for the better. Now, let's answer some questions here. Stray dog. Besides the obvious, will Copenhagen slow down weight loss on a carnivore diet? So Copenhagen, for you guys who don't know, that you didn't used to be little league baseball players like me and Stray Dog. Copenhagen is a kind of snuff, and it's actually has quite a bit of sugar. Tobacco is bitter and astringent, and so you don't necessarily taste it. And they definitely have some minty flavor in there, but there's quite a bit of sugar in Skoal, Copenhagen. There used to be Kodiak, all the chewing tobaccos, beech nut, all of these things have added sugar. And so they're absolutely, and actually it's probably going to be a net, not a negative or a positive, because the nicotine in the tobacco actually is known to speed up your metabolic rate and keep you from gaining weight as fast. That's a known side effect of nicotine. That's why you guys all know a smoker who smoked 2 or 3 packs a day that was skinny as a rail, because the nicotine curbs your appetite, speeds up your metabolic rate. Also, if you smoke it in the form of cigarettes, it really messes up your sense of smell and taste. And so food is just not as pleasurable. Smoking cigarettes is virtually the same thing as taking Ozempic. I'm sure that the manufacturer of the Ozempic would not appreciate me saying that, but it's effectively does the same thing. It just makes the food not as pleasurable, and you're not as hungry. And so, but obviously, any kind of tobacco product is going to increase your risk of cancer. This is pretty well proven in the medical literature. But if you're going to use some kind of nicotine, I would highly recommend as a doctor that you do not. Any of you guys who smoke, switch to vaping. If you're vaping currently, start weaning down the vaping. If you're dipping tobacco or chewing tobacco, you got to start to wean that down. Okay, use smaller and smaller amounts. Try to let more time elapse between each pinch between the cheek and gum, and slowly wean that down and stop it, because it's uniformly bad for your health. There's no good benefit of any tobacco product. But yeah, absolutely. The sweetness in the tobacco is going to slow down your weight loss. Absolutely. Good question. Shirley says, hey, Granny Berry. I don't know if Granny's watching today or not. She didn't know about this one. Sherry's watching from South Dakota. Where are you guys all watching from? What city, what state, what country? Tell me in the comments. It's very easy to type a comment in here. You just type it in and hit the little, looks like a little paper airplane, and that sends the comment straight to me. All right. Cynthia says, I've been on keto for 4 months, went from an A1C of 7.8, which is bad type 2 diabetes, down to an A1C of 5.6, which is no longer type 2 diabetic. That's what keto, ketovore, carnivore can do for any of you guys who are pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. Any of your friends or family members, if they have type 2 diabetes, they can do exactly what Cynthia did. I assumed I had fatty liver, and you probably did at one point. My new blood work shows an ALT of 11. Does this indicate a less fatty liver? Yes, Cynthia. It indicates that you have most likely completely reversed your fatty liver. So Cynthia, without the use of drugs, has completely reversed her type 2 diabetes and also completely reversed her fatty liver in 4 months. 4 months. She didn't have to buy any supplements. She didn't have to buy a program. She didn't have to go to the pharmacy. She just went to the supermarket like she always does. And instead of buying high carb, highly inflammatory crap, she bought very low carb, real whole foods. She ate until she was full, and then she quit eating. She didn't starve herself. And all this stuff happens naturally. Isn't that cool? Thank you very much, Paul. Nur Jimenez. Hey, doc, type 2 diabetic, currently. 58-year-old female, A1C is 7, fasting insulin 4.1, C-peptide 1.21. What does it mean? I'm on keto, high fat, and not ketogenic since 6 of 23, so since June, 3 months. But low carb since August of last year. Thank you very much. So what this means is, because what I need to know is, what was your previous A1C before you started low carb and keto? Because I would guess it was higher than 7. So we don't know where you're at in your trajectory of healing, but most likely your A1C is decreasing. And so you need to recheck the A1C every 3 months. And if you're not injecting insulin, then also check a fasting insulin every 3 months. If you are injecting insulin, then you need to check a C-peptide, because you can't use the fasting insulin to figure out how much insulin your pancreas is secreting if you're injecting insulin as well. But I would say repeat this in 3 months. Eat as low carb ketogenic as you possibly can. And before, probably in 3 months, your A1C is going to be 6.2. Then in another 3 months, it's going to be 5.8 or 5.7. It's just going to keep going back to normal. The lower carb you eat, the quicker you will get there. Huzzah. Keep up the great work. Ragnar. Heard Topo Chico has a PFAS problem. Do they still check out for you? So they did have a PFAS problem. There was actually an article, I think, in the New York Times or Wall Street Journal months ago. And the Topo Chico, I think, is actually owned by the Coca-Cola company now. And they had all these plastic tubing in the factory. And so they replaced that. I'm not sure if they replaced it with silicone or what, but they claim to have fixed the PFAS problem now. And Topo Chico and San Pellegrino, that's the 2 sparkling waters that my family loves the most. That's what we use. But we stopped using Topo Chico until they announced that they had fixed the PFAS problem. And if you don't know what PFAS is, any of you guys, you can do a quick internet search and find out why that's an issue. But, you know, as much as you can trust a big corporation, I mean, if they still had the PFAS problem, but they said we fixed it, they would open themselves up for a large lawsuit. So hopefully they have truly corrected that. Thank you, Amy, very much. Michelle, what would you tell all the people that ask you, oh my God, you're losing so much weight. Are you sick? My husband got asked that, and he is going to be 50 years old and has lost 65 pounds. This is a very common thing in the keto, ketovore, carnivore community, because it's become so unusual for somebody to be a normal sized human that it looks weird to other people. It looks maybe sick, maybe unhealthy, maybe, I don't know. You look so skinny. And this is very common in families where everybody's overweight or obese. And when one family member discovers a proper human diet and they start doing this, their family members are like, honey, are you okay? You don't look well. Because to them, looking well means, you're robust and rotund. And that's not actually what a healthy adult human looks like. Now, if you're a 6-month-old baby, then you should be chunky. You should have fat rolls. That's okay. But if you're an adult, if you're 50, you don't need to have fat rolls. That's not healthy at all. Very unhealthy. And so your husband's on the right track. But it's hard to explain to family members, especially moms and grandmothers and aunts who, I'm sure your husband's always been a good eater. You know what that means? That's a euphemism. That means you eat at least 2 plates, if not 3, at the family gatherings. But he's probably, since he's eating a proper human diet, he's still eating 1 or 2, maybe 3 plates of food, but it's all very, very low carb. And so even though he's eating until he's full, now he's lost 65 pounds. So what you're going to have to explain to everybody, Michelle, is that this is actually healthy. This is what healthy looks like. You guys have all forgotten it because you're all overweight. And it takes a minute, but this is a very common thing, especially here in the South. Body blow, biscuit butter. What were the results of your no coffee experiment? Yeah. So I did no caffeine for about a month, and then I did no coffee at all for a month, because a lot of people in the carnivore community say, coffee is a plant-based food. It's got lots of anti-nutrients, lots of toxins, lots of this, that, and the other. And it's true that coffee does have probably hundreds of different phytochemicals. The plant-based people would call these phytonutrients. And indeed, that if phytonutrients are a real thing, that's the only place I get phytonutrients from is coffee. I since have started back drinking coffee. I don't drink nearly as much caffeinated coffee as I did before I did this experiment, because I found out with my month off coffee and month off caffeine, I don't really need it. I started drinking coffee in medical school. Before that, I never drank coffee, and I thought it gave me energy, gave me a stamina, focused my attention. And so when the month of no coffee, I was like, I feel exactly the same. Now I weaned it down very slowly before I went no caffeine and then ultimately no coffee. I didn't just do it cold turkey, or I'd have felt like crap for 3 to 7 days, just like withdrawing from any substance. So I did it very slowly, and I felt exactly the same with the month of no coffee. And so it seemed to me with my N=1 experiment that coffee wasn't giving me any benefits, but it also wasn't causing any inflammation or any harm. And since I love the taste of coffee, especially in the morning, as part of my morning ritual, I included it back into my daily regimen. And so typically what I'll do is I'll have a cup of caffeinated coffee in the morning, first thing. And sometimes I try to wait 20 or 30 minutes after I wake up, because I listen to that Huberman episode, right? And I think he's a very smart gentleman, scholar. And so I try to do that just to see if I can tell any difference. And then later in the morning, I'll have half calf. I bought some half calf. And then anytime if it's afternoon, I'll drink decaf. And so that because I did find that coffee really, really messes with my sleep if I have it after noon. And so if I have coffee afternoon, it's got to be decaf, or I'm not going to drink it, because it really messes with my sleep. But that's really all I learned with my no coffee experiment. I didn't have any great revelations that, oh my God, coffee was doing this to me and I didn't realize it. So but now with that being said, there may be some of you guys who coffee is inflammatory, that it does raise your triglycerides, that you do have some negative thing with it. And I would encourage all you guys to do a 1 month N=1. That means you're the experiment, and just wean down your coffee so you don't have withdrawals, and then just stop it for a month and see if you notice any improvements or any degradation. And then at the end of that month, then you can make a informed decision. Do I want to go back to drinking coffee, or am I fine without it, or am I better without it? I think all you guys should do that experiment at some point. Amy, recent TSH was 6.04. One before was 1.51. Never abnormal before. Will the carnivore diet improve this? Thank you. Amy's watching on Twitter, aka X. So TSH of 6 is too high. Now the TSH can go up and down based on multiple things. Okay. What you need is the full thyroid panel. And I give the full list. I don't have a copy of the book here with me. In the Common Sense Labs book, I've got listed the full thyroid panel, because just checking a TSH doesn't give you any useful information at all. It's just checking a TSH. All this tells you is, Amy, maybe you've got a thyroid problem, maybe you don't. Literally, that's what it gives you. So you need to get the full thyroid panel. If you want to get a copy of Common Sense Labs, there's a link down in the show notes. It's available on Amazon as a Kindle or as a paperback currently. But I'd have to see the full thyroid panel to know. But I'll tell you, a TSH of 6, that's high. But we don't know if there's a reason it's high, if it's a thyroid reason, if it's some other insult to the body. It could be any number of things. Leroy Dickinson, for the proper human diet, man. Thanks from North Carolina. Thank you very much, neighbor. I appreciate it. Thank you, Teresa. Imperfect Future. Thank you very much. Ryan. Hello, Dr. Berry. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge. That's my job. People thank me for this, but I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to teach and help people improve their health. That's what I do. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I've been on carnivore since April of 23 and have lost 41 pounds so far and feeling so good. I'm starting to do strength training. Now, huzzah, Ryan, huzzah. I hope you're teaching your friends and family how to do this. Now, but Ryan brings up a very important point that I want all you guys to listen to me very carefully. And if you're brand new to this, if currently you're severely obese and you're like, damn it, I'm done with this, I got to fix this. Listen to me carefully. Ryan did not start with exercise, and you should not start with exercise. Exercising more is not going to help you lose fat. It's not going to help you lose weight. It's great for you in hundreds of ways, but if your BMI is over 30, you need to be very careful when you start exercising. You're much more likely to fall, break something, tear a ligament, tear a tendon, tweak a knee, throw out a rotator cuff. You've got to, first of all, fix the inflammation and start feeding your body the nutrition it needs. And so if any of you guys have a BMI over 30, I'd recommend that you do at least 90 days of either a real ketogenic diet, real Ketovore diet, or carnivore. And the easiest way, if you're like, I don't know what all that means, then just from the next meal, when you sit down, you're going to eat nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Okay. And you're going to eat 1 meal a day, 2 meals, 3 meals, no snacking in between. And during each meal, you can eat as much as you want of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Okay, that's essentially zero carb. It's going to be full of nutrition. It's going to give your body all the protein and fat it needs, and it's going to help you burn fat faster than any prescription medication on the market. Okay, now after you've done that for 90 days, and you've gotten rid of 5 to 20 pounds of water that your body was holding because of the unhealthy inflammation, that's going to be that much less weight you have to move around. You're going to lose, in 90 days, you're going to lose anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds of just pure fat. And you're going to decrease the inflammation in your body. Okay. Then you can do what Ryan did and say, I think I'm going to start going for a walk every evening. Or I'm going to start going up and down the basement stairs 2 or 3 extra times a day for no reason whatsoever. Or I'm going to buy some weights. And I'm going to start doing some strength training. But I'd much rather you do it in the order that Ryan did it. Fix your diet first. And then when you feel like, he said, and feeling so good that I'm starting to do strength training, that's when you should start exercising. When you feel like going outside and playing, that's when you should do that, not before. Huzzah. Thank you, Tommy, very much. Brandon, male family member, has urinary retention. His prostate is fine, early 40s, not overweight, but he doesn't follow a keto diet. Any advice for him? So he needs to start eating a proper human diet for sure, because there are inflammatory reasons that he may be having urinary retention. He may have inflammation in his bladder, like cystitis. He may have urethritis. He could have ureteritis. He might have pyelonephritis that's not infectious but inflammatory. Any number of things could be causing this. Okay, he does need to go to his doctor and get this thoroughly evaluated, but I'm assuming he did. You said his prostate's fine. He probably didn't check that himself. And so, yeah, he needs to fix his diet, but they also needs to continue to investigate this, seeing a urologist and saying, hey, what the heck's going on here? Okay, because the most common causes for this would be the prostate, and then the bladder, and then the urethra. But there are also uncommon, unusual reasons for this. And the first doctor he saw may just not have thought of all those reasons. So keep the investigation going and adopt a proper human diet, starting with the very next meal that he eats. Tired of looking for a name? Would blood ketone levels be a good proxy for insulin level? No. There are some people out there who talk about the GKI or the GK index. They talk about, oh, if your ketones are this and your blood sugar is this, then your insulin's probably this. This is not true at all. It does not work that way. There are many more variables in human physiology. And thank you and your wife for all the great work you do. It's my pleasure. Yeah, you can't do this. If you want to know what your insulin level is, you need to check a fasting insulin level at a lab after you fasted for 12 to 14 hours. And that's going to tell you what your fasting insulin level is. Sunny Star, 57-year-old keto carnivore for 2 years, hysterectomy 6 years ago. Lately, I've been very angry for no reason. Hormonal? Probably. What to do? Thank you for what you and Nisha do. So you need to go and get your sex hormones checked, also your adrenal hormones, also a full thyroid panel. And I've got all those labs listed in the book, Common Sense Labs. Like I said earlier, there's a link in the show notes if you want to get a copy off Amazon. But yeah, it could be any of these hormones causing you to feel that way, if nothing else is going on in your life, socially, work-wise, family-wise. Everything's fine, and you're like, oh, why am I so pissed off all the time? It's probably hormones. And so get all those hormones checked. And then if your sex hormones, you're 57, so menopause obviously could be an issue. You may need to find a healthcare provider in your area that does bioidentical hormone optimization and get your hormones optimized only with bioidenticals, not with the fake stuff that they sell at the pharmacy. Imperfect future. Have cervical dystonia, need Botox to denerve tumors in the neck. Was keto in July, declined Botox treatment then. Will Botox affect metabolism? CD1W. I don't know what CD1W means. Botox is a toxin. There's that. It's botulism toxin. That's what it is. But it's tiny amounts, and it's just injected under the skin. I have given hundreds of Botox treatments through my years of family practice. I've never had a single person have any bad reaction or any problem with it whatsoever. To my knowledge, it doesn't affect your metabolism at all. And so you can do both if you need to, but what you might find is that your cervical dystonia gets so much better on a very low carbohydrate ketogenic diet or ketovore or carnivore that you don't need the Botox injections anymore, or you just might not need them as often. Most people with cervical dystonia get Botox injections anywhere from 4 to 6 times a year. And what if you could say, oh, I used to get them 4 times a year. Now I just have to get them twice a year. That'd be a victory, wouldn't it? But you can do both, and Botox is not going to affect your metabolism negatively. Jonathan, have you seen any cases of exocrine pancreatic insufficiency improve with proper human diet? This person also has type 2 diabetes, chronic kidney disease, stage 3A or 3B. So there have been some reports, especially from the, what is the medical clinic in, it's up in the Nordic countries, Paleo Medicina. They have reported that some people's pancreas has started to produce insulin again. I haven't heard a lot of reports of this, but they have published a report or two that the exocrine pancreatic function started to come back. And so this person has type 2 diabetes, which is completely reversible with a proper human diet. This person has chronic kidney disease, stage 3. And the vast majority of people with CKD stage 3, after a few months on a proper human diet, their kidney function is actually improved. Yeah, by eating lots of fatty red meat, their kidney function actually improves, and they'll have stage 2. In some cases, it improves so much that they only qualify for stage 1, which is a huge victory for somebody with chronic kidney disease. Adam, is there too low or too high of a blood sugar before going under for surgery? My resting blood sugar usually runs 54. So what's going to happen is when they render you unconscious with the milk of amnesia, they've got IV access to you, and they're gonna give you whatever they want to give you. They're basically driving the car while you're not conscious. And so if your blood sugar, if they don't like it, they're going to give you some D5. They're going to give you some lactated range. They're going to give you something to raise your blood sugar a little bit. And if it gets too high, they're going to give you something to lower it a little bit until you regain consciousnness, and then you take back over. But that's part of you signing your rights to that away when you say, yes, here, I'm going to sign this release, doctor, for you to do surgery on me. One of the things you're saying is the doctor has full rights to manage all of your physiological meters of health. So that includes your oxygen level, your blood sugar level, your sodium, your potassium, all these levels. The surgeon is in charge of those while you're unconscious. And so they're not going to let your blood sugar dip too low. They're going to monitor that. So don't worry about that. But it's very common for somebody eating a proper human diet for their resting blood sugar to be in the 60s or even the mid 50s. Yeah, that's very common. It's not dangerous at all. It's not a problem at all. That's actually normal. But when they did all the lab research to decide what's a normal level of blood sugar, everybody that did the testing on was a bread eater, was basically eating a high carb plant-based diet. And so that's where they came up with, normal is somewhere between 65 and 105, is because everybody was eating 250 grams of carbs a day and keeping their blood sugar higher than it should be. Ragnar again, does coffee with only heavy cream in it break a fast? For some people, I think, yes, it does. For most people, I don't think it does, especially if you're using 1 or 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. What I would recommend is use a tablespoon or 2 of butter or ghee in your coffee. It's very delicious, very creamy. And then you don't have to worry about that little bit of protein and the little bit of tiny bit of carbs in the heavy cream breaking your fast by raising your insulin. But the vast majority of people, when they go to keto, they can have a little splash of heavy cream. Okay. Not a quarter cup, but a tablespoon or 2. And it doesn't seem to slow down their weight loss at all. Good question. D, what is the flavor element that would what's in the flavored element that would cause headache? I'm not sure, but if the flavored element is causing a headache, D, I would get the unflavored, because it literally has nothing in it except sodium, chloride, potassium, and magnesium. And certainly none of those things are going to cause a headache. That would be quite impossible. So get the unflavored. That's what I'm drinking right now. I was out working in the pasture, cutting down some trees earlier. And so I've got some San Pellegrino with a packet of unflavored element in my water so that I'm rehydrating and also making sure my electrolytes are right where they need to be. Good question. DJ, thank you very much, DJ. Jason, going to start carnivore next week, thinking of starting DHEA to help get testosterone levels up. Current level is 300 at 44 years old. What are your thoughts? So for any of you guys out there who have low testosterone, we in our private group, and I'll tell you about how you can join that if you want to in a minute, we have had multiple men who started out with a testosterone of 150, 250, 275, 195, very low, not good. Start eating a diet that we call triple B&E, which is beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Okay. They eat all they want with each meal. They eat 1, 2, 3 meals a day, whatever they feel like. And they don't snack in between, but during those meals, they can eat as much food as they want. And then they start lifting heavy things. And for you currently, lifting this water might be a heavy thing if you're bad out of shape. But for wherever they are physically wise, they just start pushing their muscles, pushing their bones. And what they find is after 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs and lifting heavy things, that their testosterone has went up anywhere from 50 to 400 points. And so the DHEA might help you if your DHEA level is currently low. You need to get that checked. If it's not low, then taking extra DHEA is not going to help you. But if it is low, it might. Eat the fatty red meat, lift heavy things, And then it's recheck the testosterone in 3 months. And I think you'll be very happy with the improvement. 300 at being 44 years of age, that's lower than you want it to be. You want that to be up at least 450, 500 as a 44-year-old. And so higher if you can get it. But yeah, at least 450, 500. Thomas, I started my statin and metformin. Would it be safe to take metformin? My A1C is down to 5.5, down from 5.9. So all you guys, if your A1C is 5.6 or lower, you don't need the metformin anymore. Just keep eating soup, very, very low carb. You don't need it. You're cured. You don't have prediabetes anymore or type 2 diabetes. As long as you stay low carb, it's never going to come back. My LDL is up from 49 to 149. My HDL is 75. That's great. Triglyceride 77. That's great. I'm 66 and a half years old. So Thomas is kicking ass after 60. And I don't think the statin is going to help you at all. Thomas, I've got multiple videos on this channel talking about LDL cholesterol, about statins, about lowering cholesterol. Is it a big problem? I've got a video here that's called How Not to Die of a Heart Attack. And all you guys probably need to watch that video. It's on my YouTube channel, How Not to Die of a Heart Attack. And I actually list the top 10 things that are most likely to give you a heart attack. And guess what doesn't appear in that list? Elevated LDL cholesterol. I think it comes in number 13 or 14 on the list. So what I would recommend you do is focus on getting the top 10 reasons that you could have a heart attack, the top 10 risks. You need to get those under control. And the number one risk is type 2 diabetes, and you already fixed that. Huzzah. So watch my videos about LDL cholesterol and about statins. I've got a couple of great interviews with Dr. David Diamond, who's a PhD researcher. All he studies is cholesterol, including familial hypercholesterolemia. And it's his opinion that nobody benefits from taking a statin unless you've had a previous heart attack. Then you might benefit a tiny bit. And I tend to agree with him. So check out those videos and see what you think. Tammy, 62-year-old, Ketovore for 10 months, lost 40 pounds. I love it. Cholesterol 359, HDL 106. LDL 235 and triglycerides 71. Your lipid panel numbers are almost exactly what my last lipid panel numbers. My total cholesterol was 350 and my LDL cholesterol was 250. My HDL was good and my triglycerides are great like yours. I've got a history of AFib. My doctor is talking statins. I said no. As a woman, Tammy, ask your doctor, was any of the statin research done on women? Because it wasn't. And so the first mistake your doctor's making is saying, oh, we did all these studies in men who have completely different hormones. We're going to just blindly apply that to women as well. That doesn't make a lot of sense when we come to understand that the human metabolism is exclusively controlled by hormones. And also there's studies that show that women over the age of 60 with higher total cholesterol actually live longer and have cancer less often than women with lower cholesterol. And so if you were my slightly older sister, I would tell you, you're probably not going to benefit from the statin. Snowland, my male, 53 years old, 80 to 100 grams of carbs a day for 18 months, still 120 pounds overweight. Trigs are 90. That's good. A1C 5.4. Fasting insulin 34. Yeah, that's way too high. So we'll get to what you can do to fix that. HOMA index is 8, ALT and GLT in the 60s. So most likely you've got fatty liver and you definitely have hyperinsulinemia. Goes to bed late past midnight. Doc said all fine. Yeah, no, not all fine. How do I convince my friend otherwise? Oh, this is your friend. Okay. So Snowland, your friend has hyperinsulinemia. Absolutely, without a doubt, the fasting insulin is 34. That's not considered normal, even by the current standards. And then your friend's 120 pounds overweight. It's the insulin that's causing that. Okay. Some people, when their insulin's high, they gain fat and they just get fat. Other people quickly develop type 2 diabetes. It's partly genetic. It's partly probably your gut microbiome. There's other factors at play. And then some people like me fatten very easily and develop type 2 diabetes just as easily. I do both. And so at least your friend's only overweight. They're not type 2 diabetic. But if your friend will lower the carbs, so they're eating 80 to 100 grams a day. I hope that, or is that total carbs or net carbs? Because you only want to count total carbs. Net carbs will confuse you and trick you. But if he'll cut his total carbs down to 50 total grams a day, that'd be considered low carb, and that's on the proper human diet spectrum. And those carbs don't need to be coming from sugar or grains, from bread, from cake, none of that crap. They need to be coming from low carbohydrate vegetables, maybe a few nuts, maybe a few berries. Your friend will immediately start to lose a pound a week. Okay. And if that's fast enough for your friend, they can keep eating 50 total grams a day. If that's not fast enough, they can cut the carbs down to 20 total grams of carbs a day. That's not only going to help them lose probably a pound and a half or 2 pounds a week, but also it's going to make that fasting insulin go down to the low 20s or the high teens, which is much, much closer to normal. But a fasting insulin of 34, that's very dangerous. And then you and your friend can go back to his doctor and teach his doctor something, because obviously his doctor is currently giving bad advice. If your doctor truly said that everything's fine. Kat, the top 3 countries with the highest life expectancy are countries in East Asia: Hong Kong, China, and Japan, where they eat lots of white rice. How? Well, so actually Hong Kong has the highest red meat consumption of any place on the planet. Did you know that? Also, there are genetic components to longevity. But I think that have you ever been to China or Japan? Because when I talk to people who've actually been there and lived there for a few years among the actual Chinese or Japanese, they're like, they eat meat all the time. They cook everything with pig in it or with seafood in it. So it's quite likely that their genetics and their gut microbiome is able to tolerate more carbohydrates than people who are Caucasian or from European descent. That's entirely possible. But what I would like to do is all these Chinese people that are eating all this rice that all you guys think are so healthy, I would love to check their A1C, their fasting insulin, their C-peptide, their triglycerides, and their HDL. I'd love to know the answer, because what I think you'd find is that they're all pre-diabetic and hyperinsulinemic and have high triglycerides. And so even though they might be slender by your standards, that doesn't mean they're healthy. They have something called TOFI, which means thin on the outside and fat on the inside. And it's very, very dangerous to have that visceral fat inside your belly and to have fat inside your pancreas and your liver. And although they look very slender and they seem to live a long time, I think that you would find that actually their life expectancy is not what you thought it was, and their diet is not what you thought it was. And if you could get the lab results, you'd realize that their health is not what you thought it was. Also, keep in mind that China is just about as dishonest as a country can be with their demographics and with their other metrics of what's going on in their country. They're very, very dishonest about all that stuff. I think that's well documented. Ethan, thank you very much. Sonia, thank you very much. Jeff, 1 year ago, cholesterol 119, trigs 103, HDL 32, VLDL 19, LDL 68. Lipid panel now, cholesterol 276, trigs 99, HDL 52. VLDL 17, LDL 207, stop 20 milligrams of atorvastatin. Yeah, your trigs are great. Your HDL is great. I don't think you've got anything to worry about, Jeff. Derek, I have been taking NMN 1,000 milligrams and testosterone 500 milligrams for my second month now. Mentally, I feel a lot calmer. I don't get upset as quick as I did. Should I continue on these or give them up? Are they good? Well, Derek, I think you probably know the answer to this question. There are lots of things that make you feel good and make you feel better that are not good for you, right? They say people who are able to use cocaine just judiciously, a little bit here and there, feel amazing. and their mental acuity and their mental ability and their mood is great. But that's obviously a setup for disaster long term, because all human beings are susceptible to, if something makes us feel better, we're going to use a little more of it, and then a little more, and then a little more. So, yeah, I would probably say you might want to slowly wean down and stop those things. Ethan, 24-year-old, 180 pounds, 5'10", 1 year carnivore, good labs. Any resources or literature for someone suffering from returning L5S1 disc herniation pain after surgery in 2018, lifting for 3 months with limited help? So what I would do is I would go see a new neurosurgeon, not necessarily for more surgery, but for a second opinion. Hi.
Are you still on YouTube? Or
YouTube, yeah. I'm still on YouTube for a few more minutes.
Okay, I need to talk to you before you do.
Oh, okay, got it. So you need a second opinion. You need a fresh MRI to make sure something new's not popped up. Is this just the same thing? Was the surgery not done properly? There's all kinds of questions here that need to be answered by a fresh set of eyes connected to the head of a fresh neurosurgeon. Okay. Definitely carnivore is going to help keep the inflammation as low as possible. It's going to give your bones and your muscles and tendons, ligaments, fascia, all the nutrition they need to heal and grow and rejuvenate and re-strengthen. But if you're still having pain, you need to get this checked out again. Don't discount physical therapy. A lot of times, just a little tweak from a physical therapist and a few exercises to strengthen some key muscles can make all the difference in the world with low back pain. Sonia, carnivore, 1.5 years, lost 50 pounds. Can carnivore help spleen enlargement or spleen in general? Dull ache, positional under left rib cage, but no symptoms. Well, if you're having a dull ache, that's a symptom. But if you think you have an enlarged spleen, you need to go see your doctor, get a scan. And if you do have an enlarged spleen, you need to find out why you have that. There's multiple things that can cause splenomegaly. Okay, the carnivore diet's definitely not causing that. It may be actually keeping it closer to normal size than it would be if you weren't eating carnivore, but you do need to get this checked out. Now, this kind of question that Sonia asked is questions that Nisha and I answer every single day inside of our private group. So if you don't know what that is, it's like a Facebook group, but we don't sell your data and we don't market to you. It's just a group of like-minded people, thousands of like-minded people who have problems just like you, just like Sonia, just like Ethan, just like all the other people. And so they've joined our private community. You can do so for as little as $5 a month. There's a link down in the show notes, and you get access to me and Nisha doing multiple extra live Q&As just like this, but instead of 2,500 people asking questions, there's 100 or 200 or 300 people. Okay, that's the first benefit you get. Second benefit is that there are people in there just like you. There are people from all over the world in our private group, and they've had every single imaginable medical problem, many of which have completely reversed now. And so you can actually find people who live near you in the private group, or find people who had a medical condition that you have. And they can be like, oh yeah, dude, you can totally do a proper human diet. I'm gonna take you under my wing. I'm gonna show you how I did it and tell you what happened when I did it. And so if that sounds like something that you feel like it benefits your health, the link's down in the show notes to join our community. The Chrome Man, Yo from Minnesota, I think. Thoughts on Tonkat Ali and ashwagandha for testosterone boost for 1 year carnivore? Is it detrimental? It's probably not going to help much. It's probably not going to be worth the money, would be my guess. 29-year-old male, all health markers are great. What I would do is eat lots of fatty red meat and lift heavy things. If that doesn't fix your testosterone to the degree you want it fixed within 3 to 6 months, then find a local doctor in your area who does bioidentical hormone optimization. Can carnivore fix varicose veins? So the little spider veins, we've had multiple reports of the spider veins getting better and going away. But the big ropey varicosities that are as big as your finger, there are incompetent valves involved in that. And you're probably not going to be able to fix that with a diet, because that's become a mechanical issue. GP says see if weight loss will fix the damage. It might lessen the noticeability of the big varicosities, but it's probably not going to fix them. But the tiny spider veins, we have seen those go away. Having varicose veins does not increase your risk of clots. They are not dangerous in any way. A lot of docs, especially docs who get paid to fix varicose veins, will imply things like that. But I don't know of any research that shows that having a varicose vein increases your risk of having a blood clot. So you might ask your doctor for the research showing that that's true. I'm going to wrap this live up in just a few minutes, and then I'm going live at 6 p.m. inside of our private group. And so if you didn't get your question answered here, if you'll join our private group now, you'll be sitting on ready when I go live at 6 p.m. inside the group, and then I'll have a chance to answer your question. Thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you, Wayne. Here's Rachel. Thank you, Dr. Berry, for encouraging all of us to get our carnivore stories out there and start a YouTube channel. I've had a channel for a month now. Rachel, I love it. I love it. If you're a part of our group, Rachel, you can actually post the link to your YouTube channel in the main chat so that everybody can check it out and go give you a thumbs up and leave a comment. Sven, yesterday I fixed 300-pound weight loss, have just 97 pounds left to drop to reach my goal weight. My A1C is now 4.5. Celebrate 4 years of carnivore next week. Sven has lost 300 pounds. And he's got 97 left to go, but he's getting there. And got an exquisitely beautiful hemoglobin A1C. Huzzah, Sven. Huzzah. Excelente. Thank you, Wendy, very much. Echo, 2 years post-gastric sleeve. What do you suggest to restart weight loss? I suggest a very low carbohydrate, proper human diet. So if you want to lose weight as quickly as possible, I'd recommend that you start eating nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And you can add in sardines and cod liver if you need some variety. Okay, not cod liver oil, but actual cod liver that comes in a tin. You can order it. But with those foods, you will be eating essentially 0 grams of carbs, and you will start to burn the fat that you've stored on your body. And it'll be well worth your $5 super chat, I promise you. Thank you very much. Kelly says, carnivore diet since May, have lost 30 pounds and feel fantastic. Huzzah. I freaking love it. Freaking love it. All right. Let's see what else is going on here, guys. Any last minute questions that any of you guys have? Now's the time. I'm about to sign off, and I'm going to go live in our private group at 6 p.m. Central. So just in 40 minutes, I'll be live in the private group with much fewer questions being asked. And then I can give much more detailed answers. Charlene says, I'm allergic to eggs. Any substitutes? So first of all, how do you know you're allergic to eggs? If you took a food sensitivity test and it said that you were sensitive to eggs, that's bunk. You're not. Food sensitivity testing is a uniform waste of money. Okay. If you actually had a reaction, and you have a reaction every single time you eat eggs, then I would try to eat only the yolks, because for the vast majority of people who are truly allergic to eggs, it's the white. I would also try quail eggs or duck eggs or goose eggs, because they have different proteins than chicken eggs. And also some people who are allergic to the chicken eggs from the supermarket, if they find a local source of pastured eggs, they don't react to those eggs. So that'd be a good thing to try to see if you could, because you need the nutrition in eggs. Okay, you can get all the nutrition you need if you'll include some form of liver once or twice a week in your diet, 4 ounces once or twice a week. But if you're like, I hate liver, then you got to figure out a way to at least eat the egg yolks. All right. Snowland says, everybody hit that thumbs up button right now. And that'd be nice if you did that. I would be thankful. All right, guys, that's it. I am out of here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. If we talked about important stuff that you think would help the health of someone you know, click the share button. It's not too late. They can watch this on the replay. This will stay on YouTube. It'll stay on Twitter. It'll stay on Facebook. And you can still share this even though I'm about to sign off. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. Thanks for sharing your story. If you've used the proper human diet to improve your health, please don't hide that under a bushel. Share that with the world. This is Dr. Barry. I'll see you guys next time.